As we come to the end of the first round, what's striking me more than anything else, more than the tournament, more than Evolution, more than anything else that could possibly come out of this tournament, is I'm really looking forward to the NXT UK brand. Let's talk about the Mae Young Classic. Everybody, it's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your September 26th Mae Young Classic review. It's the last episode of the first round. We are going to go into the Sweet 16 momentarily. Actually, starting next week, we're going to talk about that bracket at the end of the episode. But if it's your first time checking out this channel, go up in the annotation up above, check out playlists for the Mae Young Classic for NXT, my topical series Off the Cuff, my Q&A series, Ask the Phoenix, is up there. You can put your questions up there if you want them to be answered in a future Q&A. And anything else, really, that you want to check out. There's some movie reviews up there. There's going to be more up there shortly. And if you hang out to the end of the video, I can give you a little bit of information about Destiny Wrestling's first ever pay-per-view coming up in November. But that's really more if you're in my neck of the woods, which a majority of the planet isn't. So let's get on with it. We have the last four matches of the first round of the Mae Young Classic, and we got Rachel Evers versus Hiroyo Matsumoto, and I probably butchered that, so I apologize. We start off with a respectful handshake to start. As you guys know, I like sort of, with the tournaments, they do the whole handshake bit, and it really sets the tone for the whole match, whether there is one or there isn't one, or what the response is, etc. It does set a tone, and there's nothing quite like that in the regular mainstream WWE that sets that same tone. So you got a nice, respectful handshake from Rachel Evers to Hiroyo Matsumoto, and we are on our way. I don't have much to say about this match. I know they hyped up Matsumoto's extensive career, extensive highlights, accolades, etc. This match, it was good. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever, but nothing stuck out at the same time. Collar and elbow tie up to start, and it gets broken. Dueling shoulder tackles. Matsumoto takes down Evers. Trip and a dropkick by Evers. Gut wrench suplex and a boot. Hangman by Matsumoto. A missile dropkick. A snapmare. Elbow strikes by Matsumoto. Chops in a mudhole stomp. She does, I will say, sorry, counter to what I said a second ago, nothing really sticking out in the match. The one thing I did like is she went up almost like a Vader Bomb style drop from the top, except she did it with the knees. Vader Bomb style double drop to the knees by Matsumoto. Spinebuster by Evans, and they trade some stiff forearm shots. RKO by Evers and a senton and a backdrop by Matsumoto. STO by Evers, a leg drop and a series of strikes. Back elbow suplex to Matsumoto. Lariat. Deadlift powerbomb and a side slam by Matsumoto gets the win. Kind of, as I say, the best part in the whole match was that Vader Bomb knee drop maneuver in the middle of the match. The deadlift powerbomb was impressive, but it was delayed, and it didn't, as much as it had some snap to it, it took a long time to get there, and to follow that up with a bog standard side slam to be the thing to get the win for the match, I got nothing. Rachel Evers, I know that she's been in NXT. Nothing bad, nothing good to say about her when she was in NXT. I know she's the daughter of Paul Ellering, which, you know, there's some family stuff there, some history, and, you know, I know she has some following based in that. Matsumoto, like I say, I'm not familiar enough with the wrestling in her part of the world to lay any particular opinion. I mean, Michael Cole, shit on Michael Cole all you want, but when it comes to stuff like this and bouncing off the two ladies on commentary about her history, it's cool. You can absorb their enthusiasm about it, and they can tell you little bits, but it would be like somebody telling you about Shawn Michaels if you've never heard about Shawn Michaels so far. You can absorb their excitement, but it doesn't necessarily become your own. Unfortunately, Matsumoto wins. She goes to the next round to face Toni Storm. So you know where my loyalty is on that one. Next up was Taynara Conti versus Jessie Elaban. Now, Jessie Elaban, again, another one that I'm not very familiar with, comes out with this very, very unapologetic, dorky, nerdy, uncoordinated appeal to her. She has an endearing quality to her that way. Taynara Conti was in the last Mae Young Classic. You know, she's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. She was used in NXT for a hot second when she did a quick thing with the Undisputed Era, and then they didn't really use her since. So I kind of feel bad for her in that regard, because she's on the NXT roster and not being used. Jessie Alaban, like I say, this lovable brand new person that I don't know, it's all good. Jessie offers a handshake. Taynara Conti, because she's the martial arts expert, she responds to the handshake with a bow. So it's, on the one hand she shrugged her off, and on the other hand she did show her own level of respect. So the match has a very awkward start, which works. Knuckle lock and a hip toss by Conti, a back elbow by Jessie, a hangman by Conti, who works the arm in the ropes, a slam by Conti, and several pin attempts followed by an armbar. Conti works the wrist, the fingers, the forearms, etc. Much to the style of somebody like a Pete Dunne. Anybody who's heard me do any reviews on Pete Dunne knows I love the simple breakdown joint manipulation, you know, when you go from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist to the hand to the fingers, etc. She did a little bit of that, but it's followed up by forearms by Jessie, who tries to shake it off. Boot to the midsection by Conti, a back kick, and a catapult facebuster by Jessie. Now, I will say, as she went through here, and she says even in the video montage that nothing she does is really pretty or coordinated, but she does this one thing, and it's a catapult. Typically where we would see them fall backwards and the person gets catapulted into the turnbuckle behind them, but she did it with nothing but dead space behind her. So when Taynara Conti came over, she not only came all the way over, hit the full arch, and face planted on the mat. That was pretty. That, if you mastered it a little better and cleaned it up a little bit, that could be a finisher. It wasn't, but whatever. Dropkicks by Jessie and a corner forearm. Tilt-a-whirl side slam by Conti got the win. Now, to Michael Cole's credit, once again, he did try to explain a little bit of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu logistic name of whatever that side slam was, but it was basically a tilt-a-whirl side slam. It was all good. Taynara Conti was going fucking batshit at the end when she was laying in her offense, and Jessie Alaban would every now and then get a shot back in. She like, you know, the red mist, you know, seeing red look on her face. You know, more than one time in the match, she asked her, "Are you crazy? Here's this lovely, fun-loving girl, and I'm going to kick your head off." It came off really well, and, you know, she's come across as a little unstable, which is a little too cliche in the way WWE books their women's division, but I mean, she did it well, so how much can you complain? She's going to face Lacey Lane in the next round, and, I mean, realistically 50-50 how that's going to go, but Taynara Conti representing NXT as somebody that's already from that brand, you could make the argument that she doesn't need a Mae Young Classic victory because she's already established. My counter to that is, if she's already established, why aren't they using her in NXT? That's it. It's a little bit of a mixed bag on that one. Isla Dawn versus Nicole Matthews. Now, this is where I got to take a step back. I got to say, the entire time I was getting ready for this, when I was doing bracketology, when they did the Parade of Champions at the beginning, and I went through and I said it verbatim. I had my favorites in this tournament. I had Caitlyn, I had Madison Rayne, I had Rhea Ripley, I had Toni Storm. The one person that I forgot of, just as soon as she was announced, was Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn was in that WWE UK NXT tournament show that they did, the big two-day thing. Sorry, losing my voice a little bit. Anybody that just saw my NXT review knows that I'm very tired and I'm not feeling the greatest, so I hope you guys are bearing with me. Isla Dawn, I love her image. I love how much she's into the character that she's playing. Nicole Matthews I'm not very familiar with, other than her promo. Her promo was pretty generic in the sense that, you know, I'm a bitch and I'm good at being a bitch and I'm going to be a bitch and rah-rah-rah. They do the handshake. Isla Dawn offers her the handshake. Nicole responds with the handshake, but she does a little, you know, tug-of-war, little mind games, little whatever you want to call it. Collar and elbow tie-up, and Nicole pushes Dawn into the turnbuckle and pats her on the head. Dawn returns, reverses, pushes her into the corner, pats her on the head as well. Anything you can do, I can do better. It's all good. Both women work on each other's arms, a takedown and a stomp by Dawn, kicks to the face and double knees by Dawn, snake eyes by Nicole, and neckbreaker and armbar, kicks to the spine by Nicole, and the kicks to the spine probably had the most crack of anything on this show tonight, which is good. Follows it up with a backbreaker, almost Roderick Strong in its style and in its snap. Both girls trade punches for a while. There's a corner forearm by Dawn, and then Nicole ties her up in the ropes for, didn't think I was going to be able to say this in the Mae Young Classic, but Nicole Matthews on the apron with the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes. Series of forearms and a boot by Dawn, and a knee lift back suplex enziguri, and a fisherman suplex by Dawn. Torture rack slam by Dawn, but Nicole Matthews locks in the Lion Tamer of all things for the win. Now, Ela Dawn's already been signed to the NXT UK brand, so I'm not as defeated in seeing somebody that I like fall in the first round this time around. With Madison Rayne, it was a bummer, because I knew she probably wasn't going to hang around. For anybody out there that listens to the Taz Show podcast, she went on there to announce that she's actually signed, I think, a 2-year deal with ROH. Now, I don't watch ROH, but for somebody that I hoped was coming to the WWE, hope she does very well for herself in ROH, and good for her, and she was in All In, so that is also a thing that happened. So it was a bummer when she got knocked out in the first round, but Ela Dawn, she's already signed to the NXT UK brand. We don't know when that's coming to TV yet, but we know that even if she's out in the first round, she's not going to be gone from our televisions permanently. Now, Nicole Matthews, she wins. She goes on to the next round to face Tegan Knox. Now, much like Kairi Sane last year, the one name, there's only one name. You can only pick one name. Before the tournament even starts, you already got to pick the one name we're all going to talk about. Nobody else matters, whatever. Now, nothing against Io Shirai. I'm not very familiar with her whatsoever, but she is that person this time around. Io Shirai was saved for the last match of the last episode of the first round of the tournament, the same way Kairi Sane was last year. She's taking on Xia Brookside, who's not only the daughter of Robbie Brookside, who works at the PC, they also make a really big deal of her being only 19 years old. Now, that's cool to a point, before you just start making it sound like, yeah, this girl's here, but don't bother paying attention because she's gonna die. Which is really not what I was gonna say. And she come out and energetic as fuck. And I would have loved to see her going farther. Again, Robbie Brookside obviously shown at the ringside area there. This match was a squash, but it's kind of like what we say about NXT matches. If you see a squash match on NXT, even the squash doesn't come off like a squash. Even if it's, Joe Blow Nobody taking on Shayna Baszler, for example, they're going to get a couple of, fluky shots in before the death sentence comes down. It was sort of the same thing here. They play up the history and the accolades of Io Shirai, which I'm sure are vast and numerable, but I just don't know what they are. Xia Brookside, not only with the handshake, but a very respectful bow, and almost like she was thanking her for the match before the match had even happened. So I thought that was really cool. Crazy series of forearms by Xia to start. So, there's the bow, there's the shake, there's the bow, and then immediately launches into her with a bunch of forearms to the face, and the head scissor gets blocked. Kitchen sink by Io Shirai, and a hard Irish whip into the corner. Mudhole stomp by Io. Flying crossface submission move. Caught her midair into the crippler crossface. High knee by Io. Jawbreaker and a bulldog by Xia. Now, the jawbreaker looked fucking dirty. It looked like she hit her almost too well. And I only say that because we know what happened this week with Brie Bella. I'm not going to get into it, but that was a pretty dirty bit of business, what happened between her and Liv Morgan. So when I saw the jawbreaker, and it just sounded like, I know it's wrestling, it's supposed to sound stiff, but it just looked like it could have accidentally been legit, and it's followed up by a bulldog, so I'm sure everything's fine. Uppercut by Io, double knees in the corner, and a wicked snap moonsault for the win. Now, they shot this moonsault from almost over the ring. If you can imagine when WWE has ladder matches, and they always have that one camera that's sort of looming over the fixture when the guys are coming up the ladder, and you can see down into the ring from that flat downward perspective. They almost had that perspective for this moonsault, and it just looked like somebody falling out of a building. Io Shirai gets the win, and we go off before they break off into the graphics and the brackets, and hey, here's where we are going forward. You can tell that Xia at one point at least took a stiff shot to the jaw or something like that, because she was in the corner, she was trying to shake it off. Io helps her to her feet, raises her hand all up in the air. There's another handshake, another bow between the two of them. Very, very cool, respectful moment. I hate to say it, but with her dad being a guy that works at the PC, with her dad being in the front row, and with her getting to face off against this person that's, you know, apparently got all, like, accolades out the wazoo, it sort of feels like Take Your Kid to Work Day a little bit, which I hate to say, because for 19 years old, she looked fantastic in this match. Couple of years, would love to see her show up in NXT, but the whole end of this, very respectful, very sort of feel-good way to end the first round, and obviously Io Shirai is taking on Zeuxis in the next round. Now, speaking of the next round, and speaking of where my picks are, and just why I said at the beginning of this video I'm looking forward to NXT UK. That's what this tournament has achieved with me right now, is that I can't wait for the NXT UK brand to kick off. But in the next round we got Meiko Satomura taking on Mercedes Martinez. That one's kind of hard to call. You got Lacey Lane taking on Taynara Conti. I'm pulling for Conti, but I'm happy either way. Toni Storm taking on Hiroyo Matsumoto. You know I'm pulling for Toni Storm. And that Toni Storm, already part of the NXT UK brand. Mia Yim taking on Caitlyn. Mia Yim's been signed. I don't know if Caitlyn has, so much as I don't like it, per se, we can see where that match is going. Tegan Nox versus Nicole Matthews. That's one of those matches for me that I'm sure will be good, but it's sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other as far as who I want to win. Rhea Ripley versus American Ninja Jobber Gimmick Chick. Pulling for Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's also part of the NXT UK brand, so there you go. Io Shirai versus Zeuxis. Yeah, let's put money on where we think that one's going. And Deonna Purrazzo, who you guys know I'm a fan of, taking on Xia Li. So, first round's over. This is where we're at. Love to know what you guys think. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Just another quick update, guys. I came up here and I told you a little while ago, Sunday, November 25th, Destiny Wrestling is having its first ever pay-per-view on the Fight TV app. I didn't have much to tell you other than that at the time because they didn't really announce anything else other than the date. Quick update, they've announced the first 5 people that are going to be participating in this particular pay-per-view. Now, there aren't any matches announced, there aren't any stipulations, any structure, anything like that, but they did put out their first little piece of publicity this week. The first 5 names involved in this show are Sammy Guevara, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, who I'm not very familiar with, Teddy Hart, a lot of you are familiar with Rey Fenix. We got WWE former Cruiserweight Champion Rich Swann, and the Walking Weapon Josh Alexander. Now, I know TNA has done a lot of work with Destiny recently, so I don't know if Josh Alexander has been on their programming. I haven't been watching, if I'm completely honest with you. But, little nugget for you, the next show that I'm going to, Josh Alexander is facing our current UK champion, Pete Dunne, for the Destiny Championship. So by the time this pay-per-view comes along, Josh Alexander could be the next Destiny champion. That's all I've got for now. I hope you guys check it out. As I say, November 25th on Fight TV, the very first pay-per-view of Destiny Wrestling. It's called Fearless. Tell them I sent you, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.